an onslaught on over-the-counter cold medications, and they're very scarce in the stores right now. So the one that works for me the best is Mucinex. I don't know if you use Mucinex.
Really love Mucinex. Yep.
Mucinex, pretty good. I mean, I got to say, it kind of busted it up after I finally got a hold of some. But it took me 2 days of searching various stores to find any Mucinex on the shelf. And then when you get there, there's like one packet left, and there's 3 or 4 people descending on it. And it looks like an NFL fumble, right? Where you keep digging at the bottom of the pile. No, the Colts got it. No, it looks like the Ravens. Unbelievable.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubie Lubitz. A little bit quiet here to start the morning from Mike Lubie Lubitz after that bludgeoning.
Yeah.
Florida State suffered at the hands of the Hurricanes. Florida State had beaten the Hurricane basketball team 9 consecutive times. Nobody beats Jim Larrañaga 10 times in a row. That had to be frustrating, huh? Jim Larrañaga losing to Florida State. I think he actually did a little bit of a Bobby Knight in his comments, although these were third-hand comments because the announcers were relaying the notion that Jim Larrañaga was especially frustrated about losing to Florida State 9 straight times. And may have said something along the lines of, I'm sick and tired of losing to Purdue. Right? Remember that? That was a classic Bobby Knight explosion that they had in the locker room when they were trying to show what kind of absolute mental monster this guy was. Speaking of Bobby Knight, later on, a guy with ties to Bobby Knight, it turns out. How about that? And Lubie doing a good job. We're really going to mix it up in the 8 o'clock hour of the program. Second hour, you'll want to stick around. Some delightful and interesting people are going to join us here on the program. Caton Bredar will help us handicap the Pegasus field. And that's a big field of 12 going on Saturday at Gulfstream Park in the feature race. And it's a $3 million affair. You have many of the contenders from last year's Triple Crown Series, plus some older horses of distinction. So a very good, highly competitive, big betting field going to the post in the Pegasus Stakes. So we'll have some analysis on that. And, of course, we'll talk more about that on Friday when we're out there live with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And that'll be part of the equation in the Mike Mayo win a tickets for 2 or a freebie for 2 at the great buffet that they have there in the 10 Palms restaurant, which is a spectacular. Lubie, you've been privileged enough to have the buffet. We got a couple of comps there back in the day with Mike Nyman, and always very accepting of the comp buffet situation. That was always great. And so they do a great job. And then it's like $50 a pop, which really isn't bad for what it is. I mean, especially at a racetrack. And that includes sitting down there by the rail. By the window, which is hovering over the finish line. It's absolutely a fantastic view of the races. A great day. And you can win that, but you have to get the name of the restaurant that Mike Mayo gives the clues about, which is usually some place that people are very familiar with. And in fact, last time, he barely even got the first part of the first sentence out, and I already knew it was Cap's place. But then the tricky part is you have to pick the winner, and this is really not going to be easy this week because you have 12 choices, and I would say, any one of 6 or 8 could be favored in the race. Not favored, but, all in about the same ballpark. Could throw an umbrella over quite a few of them, and so that's not going to be an easy chore. I would imagine this might be one of those things like the Rainbow Pick 6, where we have a unique ticket where only one person gets the restaurant, which I'm assuming about 70 or 80 are going to hit that. And, just with those odds out of 12, you figure you're going to have 3-4 people maybe in the shake. But anyway, we'll have that contest for you on Friday here on the show. And that's been a big hit. And people have been taking advantage of it. And then when they get to the 10 Palms and they realize what they want, it's like, wow, man, this was definitely worth the entry and the time it took to go ahead and submit an entry. So that's coming up Friday. Caton's going to analyze the race for us. Then the hottest guy, and this is another capitulation to Jim Sarney.
100% Sarney.
The Svengali man who's turned all of us into just his own personal, what would it be?
Entertainment providers.
Well, it's not like his suggestions are bad. I mean, they're all good and reasonable. It's just in the overall spectrum of sport, it's hard to cover everything. Like Michaela Schifrin, yes, that's great. She just tied Lindsey Vohn's skiing record, but we don't do a lot of skiing on the show.
Who cares?
Holy Jean-Claude Keely. Worthy of mention, though. I mean, no question. And if we had a chance to interview Michaela Schifrin, we would gladly have her on the show, and it would be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. We like to diversify, but you can't necessarily include everything. But he's been bugging us about this story, and it is worthy of getting some kind of attention, especially by us, which we've always done this. I mean, one thing that we've been very diligent about, even though obviously here the biggest concentration of conversation is about the University of Miami and their failures, except in basketball, where we love Larinaga. And Jim's going to come on the show tomorrow, so that's great. But I would enjoy talking basketball, whether Jim Larinaga was the coach of the University of Miami or if he was out of basketball. He's just a pleasure to talk about the game with. And most of these college basketball coaches are really, really great at talking about their sport and illustrating stories. And the total recall, we always talk about that. It's like a Hubie Brown-esque, where, you ask a guy, about something that happened, Hubie in his case, you ask about a player that he had in the 30s, not his 30s his age, but 1930s, and he gives you like 5-6 solid minutes on the guy. Yeah, he could go to the, basket, but he really wasn't much from 15 feet and out. No, he's great like that. Dusty May going to be with us. He's on an 18-game winning streak with the FAU basketball team. They have a win over Florida, which is the school from where he came. He was an assistant under Mike White. He ran into Mike White originally when they were coaching at Louisiana Tech. And Mike White, the Florida Gators coach, got the Gators job. He brought Dusty May with him. Dusty May subsequently, a few years ago, got the FAU job. And there wasn't really a great reason to anticipate that they were going to have this kind of Cinderella ride going, where they're actually capturing some national attention. In fact, I'm surprised when you called down to FAU to see if we could get Dusty May on the show that they didn't say, "Oh, yeah? You want to talk to us now, Lubitz?" But because we laid the groundwork when they were bad at everything, we, have a pretty good connection there. So Dusty May is going to join us. Now, he's only going to be on the phone. Caton's going to be on the video stream. And so is later on after we speak with Dusty May about his phenomenal season, 18 straight wins and ranked 21st in the country with an FAU basketball team that prior to this, their best record under Dusty May was 19-15, and they did that last year. So to be 19-1 with wins over the Gators and some significant victories as well, and just sitting there riding the tide of an 18-game winning streak, pretty phenomenal, and looking forward to that. But a guy, and we've been talking about this guy for a while. I mean, I have never been as struck at an introductory press conference by a coach's enthusiasm as I was by Mike MacIntyre when he was introduced as the FIU head coach. Now, think about the history there. And we got to be friendly as part of this whole stated philosophy that, we just went over, that we tried to not ignore the other schools in town. FIU and FAU have been trying diligently for, is that the second time you used the word diligently in the
I don't think
first
so.
12 minutes of the show? Wow.
Maybe.
What's happening to this limited vocabulary, Deef? Anyway, we saw that they were giving a sincere effort. I mean, we got to be friendly with Ron Turner when he was a coach at FIU, and I don't think Ron mustered up more than 3 wins at any time. Butch looked like he might have had things going for a brief moment, but seemed to be at odds with whoever's running the show down there. And it'll be an interesting question because you think about it. I mean, Ron Turner was an accomplished football coach. He wasn't necessarily the greatest. A lot of people didn't like what he did with the Bears, but this guy had been in a lot of different spots at high levels of college and pro football. Naturally, his family had tentacles all over pro football, including his brother Norv, one of the most respected offensive coordinators in the game's long and storied history. And he had every reason to think that he might be successful at FIU, but it never happened, man. He just got hammered every year. Butch Davis comes in. Now, Butch, if he had one giant advantage over previous coaches at FIU, it's that he knew how to recruit the local base and probably had people that could dig players out of the local high schools. Now, he wasn't going to get the cream of the crop, but if he could get any number of, say, second, even third-tier Florida players to stick around and go to FIU, he had a chance to assemble a roster that would be competitive in the conference that they play in. And maybe against the level of competition that they usually play. Of course, FIU is going to be scheduled as a cupcake game. You see, and they're opening up against Alabama on the road. What do you think about that one, Butch? Well, I think we're in there with a shot. We're going to tell the kids. You're taking a paycheck and taking a beating is what that's all about. So you're going to have a few of those on the schedule there at FIU and maybe to a lesser extent FAU for some reason. But tough places to succeed. So Mike MacIntyre drafting in behind Butch Davis, who unfortunately his tenure ended, with some ugliness, right? Going back and forth. Butch not really inclined to open up and say a lot of nasty things about the situation, but the implication from Butch was, hey, nobody can make it work here. I mean, it's impossible. So we'll find out what motivated Mike MacIntyre. Now, Mike MacIntyre would be motivated. He's a Miami guy, and he would be motivated to. This is a guy literally that whatever it was that you wanted somebody to inspire you to do. I think with this guy's enthusiasm, you would probably turn to Mike MacIntyre and say, "Well, if this didn't work, it ain't going to work." Now, as far as being a football coach, that's another thing. But he did take San Jose State, and this is how he established himself before he got buried at Colorado, which has happened to a lot of coaches. But he was at San Jose State, where he had a 1-12 team his first year as a head coach. 1-12. That's bad. Do we put it to him that way? Mike, you were 1-12 the first year at San Jose State. That is a ticket to a permanent assistantship, somewhere at Temple or whatever. I mean, maybe with a Big East school. But he turned it around in 2 years. He had him at 10-2, and then went off to Colorado, which they were just mired in mediocrity and stuck in one of those. What kind of spiral would you call it? The kind of spiral the Dolphins are in.
Vicious circle.
Vicious ugliness. Top level mediocrity, though. I mean, it's mediocrity with a star, like an asterisk, where there's a ray of hope. There's always a ray of hope that you might be able to slide your way out of it. Anyway, we're going to have all those people on in the second hour of the program, and it should be a lot of fun. So Caton Bredar on the Pegasus, Dusty May on the phenomenal rise of FAU basketball, and the nation's has to be by far the nation's longest winning streak, I would imagine. And Mike MacIntyre, very enthusiastic coach at FIU, entering his second year after a 4-8 season. Now, speaking of Jim Sarney, I thought of Sarney last night because Jim is the biggest sports fan that I've ever experienced any kind of contact with during the course of an evening of watching sports. Because you're watching, 3 different events. I mean, we're going last night that were of great interest to me, actually 4. And I started out watching the Canes and FSU in basketball because I'm, naturally a giant Jim Larinaga fan. The Canes, their losses this year have been narrow losses on the road. The Georgia Tech one was a little bit ugly and unexpected. Georgia Tech, not a great team. That one was possibly something that you could label as somewhat of a fuck-up. But Duke, losing by 2 on the road to Duke, no disgrace. The Cameron crazies were there, and you're up against a lot of different obstacles if you're going on the road and trying to play Duke, no matter what condition the Duke program is in. Losing that one, not great. And I guess they have one other loss on the season. They came into Florida State last night with 3 losses overall or 4? I think it might be 4. But anyway, they started out smoking hot, Lubie. Did you watch the beginning of that game?
No.
Oh, you decided not to witness any of this ugliness? My God.
I knew that was going to be rough.
I didn't think it would be that bad. I really didn't. And I kept waiting for Florida State to make some kind of a move because the Hurricanes were on fire. They're hitting everything. And they're up like 25 points right away. And by the way, a very much in focus, plain sight picture of Joe Zagacki doing the radio call. Does he work those games by himself? Joe Z-Man, and he was all adorning. I mean, he looked like a young Sonny Hirsch, only without maybe like 100 pounds lighter. But, had all the UM stuff on. Sonny was great, man. I mean, when it came to UM apparel and college apparel, nobody had more of this shit than Sonny Hirsch. All free, too. I mean, I don't know that Sonny ever paid for anything that he wore or ate in his lifetime. I don't think he did. It's possible that he may have even been getting free rent somewhere. I mean, that's possible. He really milked this thing. Mayo's learning, now with his, baloney that he pulled the other day with the birthday.
Yeah, he's sliding in the DMs of chefs.
Yeah.
It's like, geez, that's creative. I would never think to do that.
Why don't I contact the owner of the place and tell him I'm coming in on a very special occasion with my ex-wife and it's her birthday? Say, hey, I just want to make sure everything goes well. Okay, Mike. Very good. Anyway, the Canes annihilated Florida State last night. 86-63 was the final there.
16-4 on the season.
16-4. Okay, so yeah, 4 losses. I think they have 3 in the ACC. So there's another one there besides the Duke and who else did they lose to in the ACC?
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's ACC.
Georgia Tech, I know they lost there. We mentioned that, but there was one other one.
Third one?
Yeah, and I think they were all close games. I mean, all decided in the final seconds by a bucket or two. Either way, I mean, and you're watching this game, and the Canes are up like 20 something at halftime, and you're thinking, what, Louie? What are you telling your team at halftime? You're going into the locker room and you're telling them, let's pretend it's 0-0.
Oh yeah.
And you want to win in the same fashion. You want to win at least the next
NC State. They lost.
NC State.
A
Okay.
week or so ago, they lost to NC State.
Holy Jim Valvano. Yeah, that's ugly. But having a great season. I don't know that the Canes are the greatest team. I mean, it seems like they're missing something, doesn't it? They really do it a lot on guile, and it seems like it's a very together. What would you expect? But a very together, well coached team.
Yeah.
But they're well coached, and yet at the same time, it's not like they are so locked into some kind of discipline that they don't freewheel it a little bit. They're definitely having some fun out there, which is a nice touch because you're looking at Jim Larinaga, an older coach. You're thinking he'd be very rigid in the way that he approaches things. You're going to see a lot of backdoor cuts and exhausting the entire shot clock. Not the case at all with this Hurricane basketball team. A lot of fun to watch. Without really, I mean, Isaiah Wong has been a little bit off his game of late, but is genuinely, generally deemed to be their best player and a guy that supposedly, according to what the announcers were saying, Larinaga was quoted as saying in their meetings that, we need Wong, otherwise we don't have a shot. He's got to be playing at a very high level or we're in a little bit of trouble. But even while he has been slumping a little bit, he was okay last night. But, the game was out of hand almost from the very beginning. Leonard Hamilton had no answers whatsoever. Do they have like a guy that's 7'5" on Florida State? Don't they have
They have height. I don't know.
7'5" or something?
Look, they've played better lately, but this has been a rough year. So I mean, they have a couple guards that are really good. This guy Cleveland was a 5-star, and he's a sophomore this year. He's played really well.
Yeah.
And the guy Caleb Mills that they got from Houston's really good. But they started out like 0-11, and it really put them in a hole because the last month or so they've actually done really well in the ACC. They were actually either at or above.
They had a winning record. ACC.
Yeah, like they've actually played well in the ACC. They had the thing with the Baba Miller, the freshman that was he is the tall guys that you may be talking about. The guy that got the stupidest NCAA penalty. So they're just mired in it, and the Canes took advantage of it. So good for them.
Wow. I mean, they hammered him early and then, kind of just hovered around, between 20 and 30 points the rest of the game that they were ahead. So they did a great job there. A couple of other things on the college slate. And then, of course, as I said, it was a Jim Sarney, orgasmic night of television viewing if you're a sports fan here of the local teams because you had everybody in action. You had the Heat against the Celtics, Heat at home. They ended up winning that ball game. 15-0 run in the fourth quarter after they were trailing. I didn't watch all of that because I was flipping around a little bit to a few other things. But, and it was one of those games where they're hanging around or down 11. Spolster's got that face on with that shit-eating grin that he has when he thinks he's getting jobbed by the refs. Like, get that smile. Like, Eric, why don't you just tell them to go fuck themselves? Huh? I mean, why don't you just come out and say it, man? You don't have to wear it on your face.
Exactly.
But this is the worst officiated game that you have seen, in your life's, your entire lifetime. And not just in basketball, but in any sport. Only maybe eclipsed by that atrocity between the New Orleans Saints and the Rams that year in the NFC Championship game when the officials, which I saw Joe Casale had a post about this on Facebook, that same official that made that atrocious non-call in the Rams game.
In the Commanders game too. That group that did
he was officiating the 49ers game last week. How does this guy have a job in the NFL after that, right? I mean, you make one of the biggest blunders in officiating history. So obvious that and his excuse was he didn't see the play. I did not see it. The guy took the guy and rolled him into the stands on a clear-cut pass interference and nothing, no flag. Then you're going to call this ticky-tack junk when they look at the quarterback cross-eyed and you throw roughing the passer. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, the 49ers now too. Sort of, up against it if this guy's back out on the field because supposedly they were getting jobbed by him all throughout that ball game as well. I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys, if anybody, should be complaining. They're still crying at Duke, by the way, back on the college slate about that non-call. Well, what bullshit? I mean, give it up. You crybaby losers. I mean, think about Grayson Allen and the atrocities that he committed there. This guy should have been brought up on war crimes, right? We should have been looking at this guy in Nuremberg. Never mind, out there in Kansas where the NCAA office used to be, in a coffee shop / post office. And they're out there in Lawrence, Kansas, or whatever, going, yeah, you know what? We really ought to look into Miami. Ohio State? No, they never do nothing wrong. Michigan? Nothing. Notre Dame? Nothing. Leave them alone. Let them run their program.
Well, I did watch the Heat game, and the Heat was without Jimmy Butler. It's so funny; they really struggled. Like Tyler Hero was abysmal, and
He had a bad game. Yeah.
I think it's fun that you can play 30 minutes and somehow have 2 points. Like the worst guy on the team,
Especially when you're a chucker, yeah.
5 at least. Like how do you play 30 minutes and have 2 points? Lowry found a way, but Bam Adebayo was freaking ridiculous. Bam was amazing last night.
Yeah.
He really carried them, and that was a huge. The end of that game felt like a playoff game. Man. That was really cool to see them close that game out.
Well, okay, so they didn't have Jimmy Butler, but the Celtics also were missing like everybody. Horford, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown.
Yep. No Brogdon.
So 3/5 of their team. Yeah, Brogdon was out there. I saw Brogdon
playing. Okay.
Yeah, he was out
So at least they had Brogdon. All right.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing much. He was getting every time I saw him, he was turning the ball over somehow, either with offensive fouls or just throwing it out of bounds. And Jason Tatum, in the beginning of the game, they were double teaming Tatum every time he touched the ball, but he still somehow had like 23 points in the first half. So this guy's having a remarkable season. And the Heat, you always figure, are going to right the ship somehow. Although they don't look like championship material either, do they? I mean, do you see the Heat, envision the Heat winning the NBA title?
Not now.
That's a hard one to see. I mean, it really is. I'm curious, too. I mean, they're going to find a way to get the Lakers into the NBA Finals, right? And somehow Bronny James is going to end up signing with the Lakers at the end of the season, and LeBron's going to be playing with his kid to win a championship. But Anthony Davis coming back, they made that deal with the Wizards for the guy that was like the 9th pick overall.
Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, and he was averaging like 13 points a game. So it's not like this guy was a total stiff. And, Westbrook's having a good year. And, who knows? I mean, with Davis back in the lineup and LeBron playing well, do we always have to do that? Do we always have to say that the Lakers are going to be a contender? They're going to do shit, right?
Like, who cares about the Lakers? You did that with Devin yesterday, and I'm like, why is he talking so much Lakers? I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is we know nothing about the Kings. You know the Kings are like a top 5 seed.
They got that guy Fox with the weird first name.
The Kings have some fun, De'Aaron Fox, but I didn't know that they were doing that well. It's like, what?
You know what? You don't even know to look near the top of the standings to find the Sacramento Kings. The first thing you do is look at the very bottom, right? Find the Kings, the Hornets, these kind of teams. For a long time, the Orlando Magic, although I don't know, are the Magic getting any better with Banchero? Going to be the rookie of the year in the NBA in all likelihood. So that turned out to be a very fortuitous pick, right? Remember when they took Banchero number 1? It was a big surprise over that Clint Holmgren guy, Mr. Fragility. Chet Holmgren, yeah. Clint Holmgren. See a first baseman for the Astros? I don't know. And there was hockey last night, too, with the local team, and it was a wild game. I mean, I was in and out of that game, but I happened to catch a bunch of Panther scores, including a shorthanded goal by Ekblad. That was just an absolute thing of beauty, and you're thinking, wow, where was this? Now the Panthers last year were remarkable. They were the comeback cardiac kids. Remember that? And I want to say, did they have 17 third-period comebacks last year? Something along those lines, Lubie? Is that a fair number to throw out there, or are we just grasping at straws here?
I don't know what you're saying. I didn't know how many they had. 17's a lot. Good for them.
They were trailing a lot going to the third period and won games last year. I mean, that was one of their big characteristics. They scored a lot of goals, and they would come back from impossible situations. We saw it many, many times, including that one game against the Capitals, right, where it looked like they were hopelessly out of it.
When the playoffs hit.
Yeah, in the postseason. And that changed the dynamic of a lot of things. And now they did realize that they probably were missing something, and you can't fault them for getting Kachuk in the deal, even though it cost them Hoobie Doobie Doo, who had a remarkable season and was a catalyst in almost all of the good stuff that happened, but was deemed to be a little bit soft and perhaps not the dynamic scorer they wanted him to be in terms of goals. Although, didn't he have like 30 goals last year, Hoobie?
He had everything.
And like 200 assists, and it was amazing.
For MVP, he had one of the great seasons in recent years. And then in the playoffs, you didn't know he was on the team.
Yeah. But Kachuk is a viable. I mean, you would have to say he's at least borderline superstar status by today's NHL standards. And yeah, I mean, if you can get this guy, and he's a young guy, for Huberdeau, who'd been with the team 10 years and they didn't win squat, why not take a shot at that? I have no problem with that deal. And it's worked. I mean, Kachuk has more than distinguished himself as being a guy that was well worthy of kind of busting up a little bit of the dynamic of your team. But yeah, those comebacks aren't there this year. They just haven't been, and they lose last night 7-6 in overtime to the Pittsburgh Penguins. A wild game, and they kept getting the lead, and it was like 3-3 after one. They ended up getting a shorthanded goal to go up 4-3. Then that was knotted up at 4-4. I didn't see much of the rest of the game, but you're thinking that one's probably going to be one of those 5-5, 6-6 affairs. It was headed for that direction. Where was the goaltending? I guess was the other question. And what has happened? I mean, maybe that's the biggest part of the problem. Panther goaltending is not exactly reminding you of the Gump so far this year. Giving up a lot of goals. Scoring may be up. I would imagine it is up overall in the NHL. I don't know why. Because the goalies are bigger than the size of the net with the padding on. You get you could put Cesar Maniago in the pipes and put this padding on them that they have now. I mean, it's literally like laying down my old plan, which was to hire a sumo wrestler and teach him how to skate a little bit so that he could at least get on and off the ice, and then just lay him out prone in front of the goal. And you would leave the smallest of gaps. I mean, even Ovechkin couldn't find his way. You could have the skills competition, and they couldn't find that little slither of light to slide the puck through if you had like a 500-pound sumo wrestler just laying there with no padding on. How about that? That would be the one consideration for using sumo wrestlers as goaltenders. They can't wear padding. No mask, no nothing. It's like Terry Sawchuk with blubber. Anyway, I don't know what to make of it. I really, the Panther season so far, I mean, they're OOP, I believe, as far as a playoff position goes, which would be
out of the picture.
I think that would put them in, the infamous position of.
Like, I think they're 10th or 11th. I was just trying to do the math. I'm like, what?
10th or 11th won't cut it in the conference.
What the hell?
A lot of teams. I mean, when you have to leapfrog a lot of teams now, where are they? They're a little past the halfway point of the season, so there's still time that we'll get it together. I don't know. I mean, what would the excuse be? Injuries? What? Not sure. Chemistry needed to develop. Coach, doesn't exactly, light anyone on fire. My man's cut loose, by the way. He's available. Bruce Boudreau. See what happened?
Oh, what did he do now? He lost another job?
He got fired in Vancouver, which Vancouver is another one of those. Is Vancouver the Sacramento of Canada? It could be.
Like,
they're very proud. Although Vancouver's supposed to be a very nice city. I don't know. I've never been there. Have you? Vancouver?
Oh, no. It's super west, right? Isn't it northwest?
Way up there. Yeah. Way up northwest. And, it's supposed to be a beautiful place. I mean, they shoot a lot of movies in Vancouver. But the only way you end up in Vancouver is if, you win a trip on Wheel of Fortune.
Lovely Vancouver.
You're going to Vancouver. And the guy goes, yeah. He's thinking to himself, where the fuck is that? Why not Winnipeg or Calgary while you're at it?
Vancouver.
Go to a rodeo. Vancouver. I love Boudreau, though. You know that. I love Boudreau.
I know. I wanted the Panthers to hire him.
I think he would have been a great fit here. I don't know what his problem is. Maybe he's at the stage where he's so cantankerous and such a old curmudgeon that. But he looks the part. He looks like a hockey puck on shoulders, right?
Yes.
I mean, he just looks the part of an old, a Toe Blake type of hockey coach, and obviously he's pretty good. And every other word out of his mouth is a 4-letter word. Every other word.
Right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Got to get him on the show. See if we can get Bruce Boudreau.
Get Bruce Boudreau on
Do we have any NHL connections whatsoever? No.
I haven't heard back from Goldie in like 2 years. So
Goldie sent me a text, believe it or not.
So reach out to him. He must have changed a number or something because I know we don't have an issue. We were on great terms. And whenever I reached out to him, I always heard back, and we'd get him on from time to time because we love talking to Goldie. And then the last year, I haven't heard back from him. So
I'd love to have Boudreau on the show talking about the NHL. In fact, he should be our NHL correspondent in our new Greenlight Ventures, which is, I think, how Goldie ended up getting in touch with me because he was congratulating me on getting a new job. And I was like, what new job? Yeah. But it was, in one of those business publications, I guess. They made the announcement that they were doing a podcasting unit and they were putting it as part of this company and, that I was going to be in charge of making things happen there. So all of a sudden, I'm getting all this congratulatory stuff, and then calls from people that I have no idea who the hell they are. Saying, well, I got a podcast.
Okay.
Like, dude, we're trying to get this one off the ground. It's been a year and change. So, here we are. All right. But anyway, Penguins win at 7-6 in overtime. So the Panthers get a point. Is there some measure of satisfaction in that? I suppose there is, right? You got a point on the road. And now the Panthers, after they lost to the Rangers, I guess, the night before, and they now will come home and entertain some schmenk team, I think, and try to get back on track. So big night of local sports all the way around. Canes, big winner over FSU. Heat, comeback winner over the Boston Celtics. And the Cats going down in flames to the Penguins, but not an embarrassment. And there were some moments there where you thought to yourself, well, actually, you should be thinking to yourself, how the hell did they give up 7 goals?
Yeah, they don't play a schmank team, by the way. I wish they play your Los Angeles Kings, who are 27-17-6 Friday.
The Kings are another team that since they had Gretzky like many years ago, and then they made another surge after that. Yeah, they had a good team for a couple of years, and then they kind of fell off the map, huh? The LA Kings.
Yes.
Haven't really been a factor, and far eclipsed out west by the accomplishments of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Who kind of swept, all of that steam. You don't really think of the LA Kings very often, do you? And I used to go to a lot of Kings games back in the day when I had Marcel Dion, Dave Taylor. That was a great team. Rogatien Vachon in goal.
You know the NHL All-Star game was here?
Yes, I did. But,
Okay.
Excuse me a second.
It's fine. Go, Cobb. Yeah, I was going to talk more.
But when is the NHL All-Star game?
It's next week.
No, but when is it? Not when is it? When is it?
What is
I mean, do they even play an All-Star game anymore? What do they do? I don't even know. Pro Bowl and football. What is this Meshuggah stuff? They're going to play dodgeball? They're going to go bowling? They're going to have a skins game?
I heard that one of the spots was
Professional wrestling?
For a highly competitive two-hand touch affair. And I was like, what? Did they say that out loud?
See, I'm one of those guys. I mentioned this yesterday.
I
I was a huge advocate of two-hand touch football. I mean, that's what we played in New York.
Yes, that's what we
tackle was not a thing. I mean, once in a while, some asshole would suggest you play tackle in the streets, and it didn't go well.
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, everybody was all cut up and bruised. I mean, it looked like Russell Crowe just leading his crew out there going, Lions?
It's like 300.
You bastard, Caesar? Lions? There's not enough your guys have, like, swords and cannons and chains and all of this other stuff. I mean, get the hell out of here, man. Now you're going to throw wild animals out there? Unbelievable. But no, I was a big fan of touch football. I think it played well. Touch football could be a hell of a lot of, test of skill. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Because you're not really worried about line play. I mean, the guy that was in there for the token blocking while they were counting Mississippi's, come on. What was he going to do? The cornerback occasionally would take off. If you were out on a field,
I ran all the time.
Then the cornerback run was a great play because you only had to beat one guy. And
Yeah.
And what was the call in the huddle? Everybody go deep.
Yep.
And it was usually the fat kid that was staying in because he couldn't cover anybody. And so you were playing, I don't know, if you were playing like 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. I mean, it was so easy for the quarterback to run like 100 yards on almost every play. But in the street, that was not available to you. With the narrow confines of the normal size street, especially when we were doing this on Long Island after we moved down to Brooklyn. Everybody moved down to the boroughs there and it was on Long Island. So we maintained a lot of the same street games where it were still very popular. Mm-hmm. And touch football on a street, what was a big thing. But the confines of the out of bound lines with the curb being out of bounds didn't leave a lot of room for running plays. Even if the guy managed to juke out the fat kid that was staying in, there wasn't a whole lot of distance to be navigated before somebody came up and got you. But no, it's good. I don't know. The pros playing a high level of touch football? Nah.
I don't know what that means. What the fuck?
It's
as a kid. I don't want to say grown men. I got him. No, it was one hand. It wasn't two.
You don't know if you're watching a Pro Bowl or a Kennedy documentary, right? They're out there in the Cape.
Oh, my God.
Throwing a ball around. Even Jacqueline's making a couple of catches, right? Broken nail.
Jackie Kennedy's involved.
All right, a lot of ground to cover here, and it was a great night. If you guys weren't entertained last night by the local teams, I mean, you had to find something that was going to whet your appetite, so to speak, and satisfy you that you had yourself one of those Evelyn meals that Mayo poached when under the auspices of his ex-wife's birthday. Nobody is dragged in the sort of drafting in behind the ex-wife better than Mayo has, huh? I mean, considering that he doesn't have to be with her, not that she's not a nice person, but I mean, imagine that, and then always going over there for like 7-course meals.
Yes, great meals, like cuisine, like high level stuff.
And it's not like he's greeted with, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
No, he's welcomed. He's invited. It's like planned out. It's like, what? My wife doesn't do that. I'm like,
she breaks out the restraining order and says, "It says 30 yards away, 30 yards." She's got like sticks, like she's in the NFL, a measure. Naturally, I've been in some unfavorable situations.
So your relationship.
When they break out the restraining order,
Oh my god!
that you didn't even know they had. Like, I haven't been around in 6 months. But just came here to give me a child support payment. No, it was never like that. All right. We're going to come back with more. Caton Bredar are going to join us right around 8:05. We're going to have to really, hustle in this last hour of the program. Caton Bredar on the Pegasus. I'm looking at the field of 12. I'm thinking of this political parlay and exacta. What do you think? Riding with Biden and defunded.
Oh, there's one called Riding with Biden. That's interesting.
Riding with Biden and defunded. So you get the right and the left. The right and the left. You're riding with Biden. You're spending like there's no end in sight to the printing press that is American money. Most of it going to Hunter Biden for various projects that nobody can figure out what the fuck is his job. That barista thing, man. I mean, whatever that was. No, that's a coffee maker. What was the company he was energy consultant with?
I don't know.
I mean, guys smoking crack in some Reno bordello with like Lamar Odom and a bunch of the guys. And, I think Aaron Pryor was there. He's getting paid like $60,000 a month. What was it? Was it $600,000 a month? What was the deal there? $60,000 a month to be a consultant. That's a good gig, man.
Well, duh.
All right, so riding with Biden, and then of course, we go the other way, defunded. No money for the police. We don't need any protection out there.
That's not an actual thing. We had, if you watch a podcast I did years ago, we had Q on to explain it. It wasn't actually defunding anything.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Reallocating them. Well, I know you're just poking the bear, but it's just reallocating funds. I just think it's annoying whenever they do that. But yes, defunded is probably more right-leaning. Each aisle.
Mayo's favorite horse, Cyberknife, is in there. I'm not sure if I guess Cyberknife is still ridden by Florent Giroux, but we lost a little bit of our affection for Florent Giroux when he defected from Doug Bredar as his agent.
Yep.
Not that he's not entitled to do whatever he wants with his career, but the guy helped make you an international superstar and put you on all of these great horses that were winning huge stakes races. Nobody was making more money than Florent Giroux. And so what happens? Some other guy calls, Rosenhaus calls and says, "Hey, I can book mounts for you."
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, he's got Zach Thomas guiding him around the backstretch at Louisiana Downs. Unbelievable. My horse is in there. I already had to put 20 to win on Skippy Longstocking for the dog.
Nice.
I don't think he can win it, but another horse is trading like a beast there. Supposedly White Abario, who drew a lot of interest last year, and might have won. I forget White Abario's resume, but I think he did win one of the big races, not the Triple Crown races, but he won something of significance. So a lot of good horses in there. I'm not sure. The Pegasus. It started out, it was like a $12 million winner-take-all race.
Yep.
And then they made various adjustments, but they've assembled a great field for this, and should be a spectacular day out there at Gulfstream Park. All right, so we'll have Caton Bredar on the Pegasus coming up. Also, Dusty May, 18-game winning streak at FAU with their Hope team. I couldn't name you a single player in their squad. Could you, Lubie?
No, don't.
Have you had any inclination to go to a game in spite of this success? It's right up the street there in Boca Raton. You could go to a basketball game and, go out and have something to eat. One of those fine restaurants. No? Good spot? Right there in Glades Road.
It wouldn't be fun. They're playing really good basketball. I just have not thought. The fact that we're having them on is my.
Do we have to go to a game? I think we have to go. Let's get Sarni.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
They're playing good basketball.
Let's get Sarni and we'll go to a game one night, all right? FAU basketball before the season is over. Oh, he won the Florida Derby, Mike Mayo says. White Abarrio.
I didn't
You think
even.
Mayo would want to go to a basketball game, or
No,
would he
Mayo's
be complaining the whole time about the air conditioning?
definitely 100% the latter.
I feel a little something coming on.
That's,
All right, and then later on, Mike MacIntyre. Looking very much forward to this. I mean, the most enthusiastic introduction of a coach I have ever seen in terms of him taking a microphone and making you feel like you wanted to run out and buy season tickets for FIU football. And I do appreciate that late backdoor cover that he had. Should I mention this? Over the University of Texas, San Antonio, where they were getting pummeled, but they were getting like 37 points. And, somehow that's how I ended up catching a lot of FIU football. Nobody at these games, though, Lubie. I mean, this guy's got a lot of work to do. Is it possible to have success there? Would be. I don't want to ask him that, because it's kind of insulting. I mean, obviously he thinks he can be successful, but I don't know. Literally, there were like 4 people in the stands for FIU football.
sure, I mean,
4 people, if that.
Yeah.
And a nice new arrangement they have too, with some suites and everything. But it was ugliness in terms of attention that they're getting. All right, so we'll get into it with Mike MacIntyre later on, and he's had a very interesting career. Was also in the pros as an assistant coach with the Cowboys and the Jets for several years. Jets for only 1 season, Cowboys for like 3 years, 2003 to 2006. Was that? I guess Jerry was still crazy back then. What was that? Dave Campo era of Dallas Cowboy football, or did that come earlier than that? All right, back with more in a moment here. Hialeah Park, I think Mike Mayo's in. Mayo, if you can, acknowledge whether you're in the handicapping tournament. I want to say yes to that. That's Sunday, coming up in Hialeah Park, a chance to win a seat in the NHC and also walk away with a nice big prize package. And beyond that, walk away with a nice, handsome bankroll that you accumulated yourself. It's a great handicapping challenge. Aqueduct and Gulfstream, the 2 tracks involved. $500 to enter. That includes the $300 that you keep in your pocket as your bankroll. So you're betting with that, and then the other money goes to the prize fund. So if you happen to win the thing, you probably accumulated maybe a dime or two. I think it's just win and place betting on these horses, and that makes it a fair situation in terms of you're picking winners all day long, and then some other schmink boxes in the last race, 3 long shots and a trifecta that hits, and then he wins the tournament, which kind of it really it diffuses the whole concept, does it not? That you're an expert handicapper and you can pick winner after winner. I mean, you got to be like Ace in a casino movie, right? Ace Rothstein. And, always have the ability to pick winners. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's a Sunday. The winner gets accommodations for 2, airfare for 2 at Bally's, and that's for the NHC. I think you can go in this year's or next year's. I'm not sure if you can delay it, but it literally is almost one of those things where you bring your suitcase to the event and get ready to travel and go to Las Vegas and compete for, I think the prize money was like $800,000 last year when we went to that thing. And it was a blast. I happen to have a winning trip myself, so that probably influences my overall opinion about the whole adventure. I mean, if I got stuck for 3,000, maybe I would have felt differently. But had a great time out there. It was absolutely fantastic. And there's nothing like a little Vegas getaway in the middle of all of this that's happening right now, especially with these mass shootings again at some gas station. Oh my God. What are you going to do about that? The world is absolutely mishuggah, and it's a sad thing. So we have our sporting world, our little toy department to creep into, and you have a chance to make a really, really great time for yourself. NHC seat available, and passage for 2, and accommodations for 2 in Las Vegas, and also the big prize package that's available there, and a chance to win a lot of money in the handicapping contest. That's Sunday. Details at hialeahpark.com. And you can sign up right there and get involved, and that should be a great event. All right, we're coming back with more, and our big 8 o'clock, action-packed 8 o'clock hour of the program here. We've kind of been rambling a little bit, Lubie, would you say? Is that a fair statement?
I mean, is that not the norm? Is that different than usual? Sure, it's been rambling.
That was always my favorite of the 4 questions. Why is this night different from all other nights? And you could apply it to, like, it could be NyQuil or DayQuil, which that was pretty good that I was trying to fight COVID-19 with NyQuil. Good job, Deef.
No, interesting if it worked.
I thought it did. That's the thing. Oh, yeah, this stuff's great. Sleeping like a baby here. All right, Caton Bredar coming up. Also, Dusty May, FIU head basketball coach, and Mike MacIntyre, interesting man who's the coach at FIU, their football team. Looking forward to that. And that's all straight ahead here on a Defo show. Mike Lubie Lubitz. We have Mike Mayo's lunchbox today from the Even Keel Fish Shack. And that's always a great spot. Great time for me, too, because I just jogged down the street there. It's like a 2-minute drive. And as long as I park between the lines there in that parking lot, don't get whacked for that $30 ticket. One tire is sitting, just a smidgen into the white. It was almost like they had the Hawkeye in tennis, and you're looking and going, my God, that ball was out by a millimeter. And, how could they possibly have seen that correctly the first time? And sure enough, $30, City Hall. A wicked witch of a woman at the front desk, too, who pretended to be friendly but was never going to relent, huh? This was like Ellen Morphonius Gable. Remember that, Judge? She was the one that threw the book at Mercury Morris. 30 years. That's all I could do for you, Merc. She was a real hanging judge. Ellen Morphonius Gable, look around. If you were in her courtroom and the words guilty were, I mean, even if there was preceded by the word not, you were still in shock, right? Talk about bringing your suitcase to the site, man. You're going straight away to jail there with this woman. Checked out a few years ago, though. It was famous, very famous South Florida judge, but famous for throwing a book at virtually everybody. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
The book, Lubie. Right at your head. It's 7:49.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
Gambling.
to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
The complete works of Shakespeare brought to you by FanDuel. Turns out Shakespeare was a degenerate, huh? That's pretty amazing. Welcome back to the show here. Jeff DeForest and a beeping Mike Lubie Lubitz. Are you okay back there? Is that a fire alarm? Earthquake, by the way, in California. Do you see that? LA, 4.6.
Oh, geez.
Earthquake, yeah.
Is that big?
Everybody was shaking, man. Our good friends, Phil Hendry had something about it. Phil Hendry, radio legend. And Chip Namias also said that he's in his place in Beverly Hills or whatever it is that he lives. No, he lives
Here.
by UCLA, Westwood.
Okay.
And he said that building was shaking, man. Shaking. That's that's a scary one. I experienced it a couple of times, a little tremors, nothing major when I was out in California. And you're looking and going, that building across the street moving, or am I just tripping?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That freaks me out. That's one that, like, I know that they're like, well, you have hurricanes. Yeah, but we know days in advance.
Yeah.
They know the signs of hurricanes. So, like, and honestly, unless it's the big one, usually nothing happens. And
Yeah.
see, earthquakes, you don't know. Like, that weirds me out that you have no
Oh,
idea.
no, out of nowhere, man. 3 a.m, I think this
That weirds
happened.
me out.
Woohoo. That's a rough one. All right, we were dead wrong yesterday. I don't know how you guys let me get away with this. There's no mention of this on the chat line. Nothing from you, Lubie. But that game had flipped. I just glanced at the odds for the conference championship games. And the Eagles, of course, remained 2.5 favorites over the 49ers. And then the Bengals actually became the favorite by a 1.5 over the Kansas City Chiefs. So we have a road dog in the AFC championship game. This is one of those things where, I mean, I'm always too little too late, right? I decided to buy 2 more homes pre-construction right at the time that the housing market crashed in 2008. So all of a sudden, I'm stuck with 3 loans, and I can't pay the one that I have on my own house because I mortgaged my future there to buy these other places, thinking that my retirement strategy it seemed very practical, Lubie. But this is what happens when you swing late at everything, right? I mean, the ball's already in the catcher's mitt, and you're like, whoosh, here we go, like a Rosario. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All right, so, what do? I go full bore, all in, thinking I was going to buy and gradually sell off all of these properties, like maybe one a year, and this way I could ease back. And if I was making 50 to 100 grand off, the property sales of these, places that weren't even built yet, pre-construction, I'd be a rich man. I wouldn't have to work, right? I mean, I could do this and know that I had another 100,000 to supplement my income every year, or 50 or whatever. And it was a great plan, right? Until it fell completely apart. It's kind of like a Jets game plan with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Just a great plan, man. I tell you what, this Rob Saleh, he really knows how to run an offense. And then the guy gets out there and chucks one and bounds off, his own offensive lineman's helmet into the hands of an awaiting defensive back who has nothing but daylight ahead of him. Even though he runs a 5.7 40, he's going to lumber into the end zone there and then do a little snowman. And you're like, there's your offensive game plan, Bob. Out the window. But, I mean, why didn't we jump in with both fists when we were getting 1.5? You think the Chiefs are going to prevail in this game, which is entirely possible, Louis. I mean, I don't know that you can rule that out. And under equal circumstances in terms of health of quarterback, I think I probably would be inclined to, lean on just going ahead and laying a 1.5 with Kansas City, even though they never. Why do gamblers, continue to do the same thing over and over again?
Exactly. The definition of insanity. The gambler embraces that 100%. Yeah.
They never cover a spread, no matter how big, no matter how small. The Chiefs. If you bet every game against the Kansas City Chiefs this year, and you were betting 10,000 a game, you're at least up 60 grand for the year, right? You didn't have to do anything. No figuring, no watching a bunch of shows, no trying to consider or interpret what Stephen A. Smith is saying about the ball game, and then realizing that it's Richard Dreyfuss time. And let it ride. I'm going to put a line right through that one. No reading action sports, where I think they might have had a winner the other day. I don't mean to ignore it, the 1 out of 300 times that they have a winner. But they did come up with Baylor to beat, what was that, Kansas that they were playing, or Kansas State? I think it was Kansas. Baylor and Kansas, Bill Self. And Baylor ended up winning outright as underdogs in that game. By the way, too, just on a degenerate note, when it comes to college basketball, which we're not, very well versed in at this point, kind of get interested towards the conference championships. I mean, I watched a little bit of college basketball, not enough to be any kind of a qualified expert on it for sure. But Brandon Lang tells us in our podcast, don't sleep on Iowa State. He said that last week, and they had a big win last night also. Iowa State, and they won 80-76 over like a ranked opponent. So Iowa State, one of those teams that could be a sleeper, along with FAU. Oh, yeah, Jim Sarney reminded me, too, Scott Rowland, Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, which that was more of a, he played a long.
He hit 281 lifetime. Is that a Hall of Fame batting average? I don't think so.
Well, he was.
Sorry. Unless you had like 700 home runs also to go along with it.
He played 17 years, and I think he was an all-star like 7 times or something. He was a great defensive player.
Gold glove at third baseman. Yeah, 8 gold gloves.
Player, and he was a good hitter. It wasn't like he was the guy like Vizquel, who was a great defensive player and an okay hitter. No, he was a great.
He wasn't Brooks Robinson, yeah.
And a good hitter. He just wasn't a great hitter. And it was in an era where we still valued defense, but it wasn't like the 60s where you may make it on pure defense. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Roland. It's that they had no one else. To me, if they had a loaded class, Roland's not freaking getting in. Like,
I think that might have been his 6th time on the ballot.
He went from 10% to 75. Like, what happens that makes you
Yeah,
go?
how did he get that much
He
better?
played more. Like, how did he got more stats? Like,
I'm going to say Scott Rowland, good ball player, not a Hall of Famer.
no, I agree.
I mean, a guy, would you have wanted him on your team? Yes. Could he have been the captain of your team? Yes. Could he have been an inspiration for your team? Yes. Did he save a ton of runs with his Gold Glove third base play? Probably so.
Yes.
But a 281 lifetime batting average with like 300 home runs? I don't know, man. I mean, think about that. They kept Gil Hodges out of the Hall of Fame.
I mean, Mattingly's still in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, people keep bringing up, they're like, if you're going to put him in, how do you not have Mattingly?
Yeah. Yeah, not a Hall of Famer. Who's the other guy that got in not that long ago?
Is one that I think is ridiculous.
Harold Baines, yeah.
Like
These aren't Hall of Fame players.
Like,
I'm sorry. Now, the Juicers obviously have something to do with that because none of them are getting any votes, including Alex Rodriguez, who looks like he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame by any standard of voting system that we know of today, unless they just change that dramatically and go to robots. He's not getting in. And even artificial intelligence knows he was a juicer, even though Pete Gammons never pressed him on that point when he had him in an interview. And Katie Couric, Miss In-Depth Interviewer, Miss News, Miss, Good Morning America, or whatever show she was on, the Today Show.
See, I think, yes.
Is out there every big news story. She's right in the middle of it, right? Have some school shooting. She's sitting there, holding hands with the parents and all this stuff. And she's right there sitting with A-Rod and says, A-Rod, you ever use any juice? And he goes, nope. And it was like she was talking to George Santos, and she happened to be Kevin McCarthy, right? Well, I don't see where, this should prohibit him from making valuable and very important decisions concerning the future of our country. The fact that John Lovett's character has more credibility than this asshole.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
He criticized Lovett's impression of him, and Brett Lovitz laughed.
It's insane.
I just love what's going on.
No, I mean, and it gets worse every day, right?
The DeSantis stuff. DeSantis was explaining slavery. Black people were like, what?
There's another winner, huh?
That was.
And the world loves this guy, man. What is it? The greasy hair? What is it with DeSantis?
The world does not love him. There's a sect that loves him. They reside in this state. The rest of the country.
He just, get a sheet and put it on his head in a cone shape. Get up there and, like burn a cross. I mean, my
favorite is like, we're not here to teach ideology. Really? What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, what is this guy? I mean, there aren't other things, to consider DeSantis about the state, right? Like pollution and all of this other stuff. Whatever's going on. I mean, come on. You got to come up with something, right? You see like 8 million fish dead every day, right? Washing up on the banks of St. Petersburg and Biscayne Bay. You're like, come on, Ronnie boy, do something about the environment. Something. We need oxygen. We need air. Unbelievable. People. He wants to make sure everybody dies of COVID-19. That I think is part of his Republican agenda. All right, we don't want to get into this because it's a sordid path here. We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well,
we don't shy away from it though, like a lot of people do. I mean, it is what it is. You're just looking at it, going, "My God, what on earth is going on out there?"
Look, the Hunter Biden stuff is just as comical. Like,
no
it's
doubt,
all
yeah.
Sides. That's why I just find it funny when they're like, no, and then you see in the background the guy moving the documents.
Right, the guy has a cart.
It's
kind of like when they bring the evidence down. If you're ever involved, unfortunately, in a federal case, and you're thinking, what could be the gist of this case, and then they wheel in like on a dolly. Like a giant platform thing, like you were going to Lowe's, and they all have those little legal files, and you're like, "What the fuck?" I mean, if you were investigating some Russian spy, I don't think you would have this much, material there. All right, Caton Bredar, ready to go with us. So we're going to come right back with Caton Bredar and her analysis of the Pegasus. Start of a big hour. Dusty May, FAU head basketball coach. I guess Sarni points out it's the second longest winning streak right now, active in college basketball. And so they're at 18 games in a row and number 21 in the country. And then Mike MacIntyre, very inspirational guy. So we're looking to become inspired here by, some solid coach speak. I think we're going to get into that.
We're going to get some good coach speak.
I'm going to buy a pair of shoulder pads, I think, after I talk to this guy. So coming back with Caton Bredar in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:03. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little
gamble in
help,
anger.
don't gamble in anger. It
I
never works.
get a panic phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the
Oh, well,
Mustang
shut
went
up,
wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
It's unlikely you'll ever see that happen to this young lady. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. And you will not see, I don't think, a despondent, desperate Caton Bredar ever slumped over an ATM machine, staring blankly at the receipt that says no funds available, and like the feature's about to go off. Caton, how are you? Good to have Caton Bredar on the program here. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Glad to see you guys, and I'm glad to be here, at least in the same state now. I and it was great. I didn't get.
We're having a little trouble
to
with the
talk.
sound there. We're getting a little intermittent sound. I don't know whether we can that be something that we can adjust here, or all right. I mean, we're getting some of it. You were saying it's good to be in the same state, right?
Same state, and how about that? Is that better?
All right. We're hoping to work it out. Well, we'll get it. We'll ease into it. But you're doing well.
Okay.
All right, very
I
good.
tried.
Now the Pegasus is on tap here, and I was just thinking if I was going to poach a racing form from somebody, and not that I would ever do this to you, if you happen to leave your racing form on a table while you went to, go get a beverage or something, and maybe I roll by the TVG booth, and then your form happened to blow into my lap. That might be one way I do it, but I would want to poach your racing form. Because your detailed notes, if you had marked it up a little bit, what would be absolutely an essential intellectual tool to the approach of any race. The
See,
Pegasus, stacks up as pretty wide open. I don't know. What do you make of it? I mean, I know you had ties to Cyberknife. I don't know if I'm assuming Florent Giroux is still riding the horse, although he had parted ways with your husband, Doug, as his agent, which I find to be, one of the, I don't, you can't say it, but probably looms as one of the large mistakes in the history of sports in terms of, it's like signing with Don King. I mean, please, can only go badly after that, after things that were so great. But, and that's our editorial on that. I have a political, exacta here in riding with Biden and defunded so that you get both sides
I like that
of the
too.
spectrum there. Yeah. But I think I would probably give that little or no shot. So, what's your thought, first of all, about the field for the Pegasus? And then I know the big days, I mean, are always fantastic, spectacular. So, this one is really becoming one of the staples of the, racing social scene as well, is it not?
It definitely is. Are we working any better?
We're still getting an intermittent thing. I don't know. Should we punch out and punch back in and see if we can resurrect this somehow?
Try.
Yeah, because we want to hear from Caton Bredar here, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the race. I would have no idea. We did see, and what was it? Andy put up that White Barrio had won the Florida Derby. White Barrio, that
Yes.
horse, and for some reason, I don't know where I saw a note that this horse was working out like a champ, and knocking the stopwatches out of the clocker's hands there in the morning. That doesn't always necessarily equate out to the here we go. Yeah, we have Caton back. All right. Hopefully
Any
we have
luck?
some sound. Yeah, sounds much better.
Yay!
Yeah, 100% improvement. That's fantastic. I was just talking about this notion here. Yeah, go ahead. You were
No,
going to say about the Pegasus in general.
Yeah, because it's amazing. And but the truth is, having big money on the calendar this time of the year, that are older horses, a last stop, depending, has base, but it's also
We're still struggling here. Yeah, I might have to do this on the phone, Libby. I think that's
right now.
that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
I'm calling her right now.
An experiment, unfortunately didn't work here on live streaming, which always leaves you, hanging and juggling like a few balls in the air at the same time, and hoping one doesn't hit you in the nose. But if it does, it bounces off. It looks like it was just part of the routine. Anyway, the Pegasus, I mean, started out, that was like $12 million winner take all. And that concept, unfortunately, I guess it was short lived. I don't know what the reason was. And then you would get, some monster that nobody wanted to run against. And so they kind of conceptually changed it around. All right, Caton, do we have you on the phone? We weren't able to hear what you were saying, so it was kind of futile there. How are you, first of all?
I'm really good, and I think what we should have done is I should have just found out where you are and come to you in person, because
that would have been nice. Yeah,
we'll get together one of these days.
Yes,
but the race itself is amazing in terms of how it's grown as far as an event for racing, but as a social event, it's even better because this year they've got One Republic coming. The music, the concerts, the idea of making it a social event, getting some celebrities out, I think they had Snoop Dogg one of the years to give the riders up, and it just becomes someplace you have to be, and there is that atmosphere even now. I was just at the track, and I was just watching some of the horses train, and there is an energy that is different from a lot of other big races, and so I think it's kind of special to have been around since it started and to be able to watch it continue. And what it lacks in superstar power as far as the field is concerned makes up for in terms of opportunity to bet, and I think see who's some of the horses that are going to be the next stars of the older horse division this year. So I'm really excited about it. And you mentioned Defunded and Riding with Biden. Defunded is, to me, I mean, Baffert, he ships in from California. Bob Baffert has owned this race, would not be making the trip, goes to Irad Ortiz, who is, can do no wrong. Literally, it seems like even if he does wrong, they don't hold him accountable. But he is unbelievable. He is unbelievable as far as the skill set is concerned. And Defunded has speed, rides a 2-race win streak. I'm really excited to see him match up with some of the horses like Cyberknife and like White Barrio. And I really am. I am leaning toward White Barrio just because he's 4 for 4 at Gulfstream, and he's a little under the radar, and you're certainly going to get a better price. But Cyberknife's probably the best horse just in terms of ability, but draws post 10. Lot has to go right for him. And this is my biggest angle, and this is a totally unscientific angle, Jeff, but
yeah,
I know that Cyberknife was not originally pointed for this race. I'm not privy to what goes on for him now as I was before, but I know that originally they weren't talking about running him after the Breeders' Cup. So I think it was an afterthought because Lightline retired, because some of the top horses are going to other places. And they just decided he ran well in the Breeders' Cup but didn't win. Let's give him one more shot. Why not go for the money? It'll be a softer spot than it originally appeared. Those horses, they just never win. When it's the afterthought, they never win. I've never seen that happen. So that's why he's going to be favored. I'm going to try to beat him, but and I'm not going to lie, there'll be a little poetic justice in there.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want Florent to fall off the horse, but if he happened to get left, we'd all be clapping and silently, saying, "You should have never done it, Flo. Should have never done it." It happens. I mean, it happens. And that's part of the game, and it is a whole different. I mean, there's so many layers. Caton, and you've heard this. I mean, yeah, what kind of sport is horse racing? And then you see the zillion different layers that there are to this game, and it's not just the payoffs and the results of races, which is most important to all of us degenerates, but the stories go on a million different levels as well, as evidenced by the both literal literature and film success of Seabiscuit and a story like that. But all right, I mean, as you look at this bunch. Is there a tactical advantage in the eyes of Caton Bredar to any particular horse in this race, i.e., lone speed, as Matt Carruthers would point out, or a closer that's going to benefit from a fast pace, but where they cook each other out front? Any tactical advantages that you see?
In theory, this race has quite a bit of early speed, so that's going to help a horse like Proxy, who he's still going to have to work out a trip from the rail, but he's going to come from a little bit off the pace. I don't see anybody stealing this on the front. Riding with Biden is the horse that gets really, believe it or not, unlike his namesake, he gets a little worked up. He can get, and he's got speed. I don't know that he has to be on the lead, but I think he's going to be forwardly placed. Art Collector's going to try for the lead for sure. Defunded is going to try for the lead. So to me, there's a legitimate pace up front. So if you're versatile like Proxy or even Cyberknife, especially, I think that's an advantage. The horse that'll be interesting is White Abarrio because he has shown speed, but he also, especially with Tyler Gaffleone on, like when he won the Florida Derby, he's had that stalking trip. And I think that if he can get that kind of trip again, he will be in the catbird seat. And if there's outside of tactics, if there's strength in numbers, Saffie Joseph kind of has not only the home court advantage, but he's got 3 horses in the 12-horse field. And O'Connor trains really well. I know he was disappointing in the Harlan's Holiday, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him bounce back. He's another that benefits from all the pace up front. Simplification will be forwardly placed, I think, and he comes off a win in the Harlan's Holiday and might be the improving horse. And then White Abarrio is, again, undefeated over the track. So I kind of think, and all 3 of those horses come from a little bit off the pace, although White Abarrio probably has more tactical ability than anybody else in there.
All right. Watch out for your racing form on Saturday, Caton. If it's gone, I probably coached it. And my understanding is that George Santos is claiming that his brother, Jose Santos, is coming out of retirement to riding with Biden. A special appearance there. So look for that in the racing notes as well.
Extra for that, right?
Yeah. Kate, we love you, man. I can't wait to see you. We'll be out there Friday, so hopefully you can stop by Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, and then Saturday to Pegasus, and one of the great fields that's been assembled here for the winter so far. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. We'll see you on Friday.
Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Caton Bredar, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're giving you nothing but winners here. Right, Lubie? That's what this show is all about. Winner after winner after winner. And I believe this gentleman is ready to go. Is that the case, Mike Lubie-Lubitz?
Yes, I'm going to call him now. And
okay.
After the break.
Okay, well, we'll throw to a little commercial message here and then come right back with Dusty May, who is the head coach at FAU, and we'll familiarize ourselves with what this gentleman is doing. What was a graduate assistant, under Bobby Knight. That had to be interesting. Well, we have to ask him about that. All right, back with Dusty May of FAU in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:18. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
We have a few things we have to establish here, Lubie, before we get moving. I know you're a stickler for the format and all the details. Mike Lubie Lubitz, I mean, come on. Lubie.
No, Lubie,
It's called the format. I know Syracuse didn't teach that, but there's something called the format.
The only thing I learned at Syracuse was that anything that comes to the station that's free, grab it.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo joined by Lubie on the Defo Show.
Obviously, an education is a terrible thing to waste. Welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and a pleasure to welcome this gentleman in. And I would imagine, if you were going to start out a coaching lifetime, and you would have to immediately develop a very thick skin in these circumstances. Now, and I was a big fan of Bobby Knight. I mean, back in the days of playing recreational ball in a schoolyard there, after sagging into another soft 2-3 zone situation and falling behind desperately to where you're going to lose the court for like an hour, you would go, let's go Bobby Knight. And we're going man to man. And we know through our friend Johnny Feinstein that a year following Bobby Knight, cannot be an easy thing to do. I mean, there were mood swings. There were all kinds of crazy things going on. So we welcome to the show Dusty May. And Dusty, this was, the most curious thing. I'm thinking, how did this guy survive as a graduate assistant while working under Bobby Knight? But what a way to lay a foundation for a coaching career. How are you, first of all? And thanks for joining us on the show.
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, it's good to have you on. And what? We have to be one of 1,000 calls to you now with this story that you're writing with the FAU basketball team. 18 in a row. And did you make a determination that you were going to just wipe out all teams that you previously coached with? Because it seems like you're just mowing them down one after another on the schedule, including the University of Florida, which obviously, was an eye-opener for people looking at FAU basketball. But how would you characterize what's happened so far this season?
Well, we still play Louisiana Tech twice, so we'd love to be able to get those guys to finish the revenge tour. But I know we're playing good basketball. Very proud of our guys. With it, it's like you said, brought a lot of media attention and other things with us. So we're proud to represent this university and program and show the country what we're building here in South Florida.
Were there any indications, even if you're in your most blind of faith, that you were on the right track? Were there any indications that this was going to emerge out of what happened the last few seasons at FAU?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously winning this many games in a row, a lot has to go right. And we felt like we were on the verge of a breakthrough last year. And we just found a way to lose 4, 5, 6 games that could have drastically changed our season, given us more confidence. For example, just a timely free throw here or a timely turnover there, because winning every single night in college basketball is extremely difficult, especially on the road. So we knew we were capable of winning, of having a great season. We didn't foresee this coming, but we knew we were capable of this. Our players actually were talking about, hey, coach, is there any way we can have a videographer film us on the road? We want to document this because we're winning the league this year. And my response is always, hey, fellas, let's have a great workout today. But they were speaking this into existence well before the staff. So they believe in themselves. They believe in their teammates. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Coach, we always find it interesting, and I feel like in football and basketball, they focus on this term as much, if not more than any other sport, culture. You got to change the culture. We need a new culture, the culture. And in our racket, we tend to sort of mock that, but being down here where heat culture reigns supreme, we can see tangible evidence of culture being something that is defined, something that is real. When you get into FAU, what is something, or what are the things you did to change or revamp or create a culture, the Dusty May culture?
Well, it started with the first workout that we were going to work with enthusiasm, with attention to detail, with purpose every single minute. And it was going to be probably much more difficult than anyone, especially the high school kids coming. It could be more difficult than anything they'd ever done. It's very similar to the heat culture. It's daily behavior. That word could be substituted in for a number of other words, but it means the same thing. How does this group behave? What do they do on a daily basis, and how do they actually live it, or do they just say it? So our guys believe in our culture, much like the Heat program fans. Everyone believes in their culture, and we just have the right guys at the right time coming together and doing something special.
It's funny, and you think of coaching styles and approaches, and you look back at like these old Bobby Knight teams and their epitome of discipline. And when Donnie May, your namesake, was chucking them up there for Dayton, it was a real disciplined, sort of structured type of basketball. The 3-point shot comes into play. Obviously, kids want a fast break and dunk. Where do you draw the line between like the fundamental, stuff that would be part of a common winning formula for, say, old school coaches, and having a style of play that kids will find, and embrace and feel like they can have fun with? How tough of a line is that to draw?
It's very difficult. And even in year 1 and year 2, we were at a crossroads where we felt like if we slowed it down, controlled more possession, was more structured, we would have a better chance to maybe win a few more games. But long term, we knew we were behind the 8 ball when it came to building a fan base, being enjoyable to watch, being a place where recruits could look at us and say, I want to play there, I want to do that, I enjoy watching them. I love the passion they play with. So there was always that one eye in the present, because we needed to earn respect, and then the other eye was towards the future. And so we were always balancing that. And now, we just try to basically give our guys structure freedom. We play a lot of freelance, just motion type of offense, but we also try to give our guys some structure so they know what they're looking for and what they're looking at. So definitely the Coach Knight influence was very impactful for me. And we still use a lot of the same stuff that Coach Knight did.
How giddy can you get on an 18-game winning streak? I mean, I haven't seen these clips yet. Maybe they've shown on SportsCenter. Have you been dancing with the team, or what's it like as you just continue to pile victory on top of victory?
No, my dancing skills, I'd probably need a few hours of some type of lessons before I could dance with our guys. But our young men have a very workmanlike approach. After each game, they're pretty happy. Rarely do they celebrate. I think they're just kind of on to the next challenge, the next game, and the season comes at you fast. We play Thursday, Saturday. Last week we played 5 games in 10 days.
Wow!
So there's not much time to enjoy the moment. So we just kind of turn the page. But our guys, I know that they enjoy the process and the preparation and all the things that go into winning, and they understand that that's a big part of why they found the success that they have.
Do you find, I mean, it's kind of cliche to say, but any kind of rise in the level of intensity that your opponents are exhibiting as this streak has grown?
Absolutely. We've become a big game. Everywhere we go, it's the biggest crowd. We haven't been to the games, but we watch film. And, for example, FIU had a great crowd the other night. Western Kentucky had a promotional red out sellout against us. So absolutely, with the AP number beside our name, like it's been for the last couple weeks, that elevates it even more. But anytime you have a first place team and an undefeated team in the league come into the opposition's arena, they're going to bring a good crowd and a level of intensity that we haven't seen in years past regularly. Now you see it occasionally, but night in, night out. And the beautiful thing about our guys, they're extremely competitive, and they embrace that as well. I think they enjoy being the villain on the road.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's working for you guys, Coach. Yes, tomorrow night, Thursday night, Middle Tennessee State, 7 p.m. And you can check that out on CBS Sports Network. We've seen the transfer portal sort of take over both college football and college basketball. And we've seen programs turn around quickly in a large part to the transfer portal. How do you attack? What are your thoughts on the transfer portal, and how do you use it at FAU?
We use it. I think we probably signed one player per year out of the portal, wow. and usually it's a specific need. Most of our roster are high school players that have been with us for a few years. The core of our team has been with us multiple years, and we attribute our continuity and our togetherness as probably as important as anything that we've done. So yeah, it's situational. We still recruit high school kids right now. We'll have 1 or 2 scholarships next year on paper, and 99% of our focus is on high school players. We love the process of developing, growing, having a real authentic relationship. And then our guys, I think, have a lot of pride in leaving a legacy here and building something with the success they've had that's never been done. And anytime you're bouncing around school to school, you're not really leaving a legacy. You're not going to have a true connection to all the things after basketball, the alumni base, the administration, the coaches. It's just different. So that's what I fear the kids are missing out on most, is that lifelong, I guess, network or web that they're leaving behind when they just bounce around school. So we're very proud that we've been able to keep these guys, and hopefully we can continue to do so because we love coaching.
Well, what kind of spark has this created on campus? I mean, we're seeing a reaction from around the country. It's and I've been in places where the guys that were on the basketball team didn't even want anybody to know it. They wouldn't even wear their athletic jackets, because they were having losing season upon losing season. But I would imagine these guys are pumped up, walking around school and getting nothing but high fives as they cross through, the quad to go to various classes.
They're getting a lot of love on campus, on social media, all that, and they've stayed very, very grounded. I think that they need to understand why they're getting that love, and it's not just the result. It's the way they play the game. It's their process. It's their work ethic. So I do think we have a very mature group that keeps it in perspective, and they also understand that it's fickle. It could be gone tomorrow if we don't continue to take care of business and improve and elevate to the level of the challenge with what we're seeing from our opponent.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun and a great story. Writing a Cinderella story here, and has to feel great to be a big part of it. Dusty May, head basketball coach at Florida Atlantic University. Game tomorrow night, and it's great because we're thinking we need to make arrangements to come out and see you guys play, and that's always a good thing if you can sort of ignite that. With a great job being done with a program like FAU as you're doing. Thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. We'd love to host you guys up here anytime. Just let us know.
All right, sounds good.
We'll take you up on that. Thanks, Coach.
Sounded like a nice, solid invitation there, didn't it?
And unlike Mayo, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
He asked us. We didn't even. I give Defo credit. We talked about going to a game. He didn't even throw out the obligatory joke. Coach.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
We'd love to come to a game.
Mayo. He asked us. That's how you do it, Mayo. That's how you do it.
There's an unscrupulous nature to Mike Mayo.
The end of the day.
Which I sort of dig. I mean, I just wish that, I don't know if he's been in therapy or anything, but I just wish he would admit to it and say, you know what? Yeah, that's exactly what I intended. I intended for the chef to give me an unbelievable amount of gratuitous considerations because of the fact that I was writing articles for the Sun Sentinel and now have this 100,000 person following on Let's Eat South Florida. And whatever I say, they do. Right? So if I say boycott this joint, see, that's an incredible feeling of power. I hope he doesn't get around to the point where he realizes that he can start abusing that. Be like that head of the federales in Mexico that's on trial in New York there. Just happened to be getting greased by El Chapo and his people for years and years. He's like, man, I didn't take any money. What are you talking about? That was incredible, too. And he showed some pictures of like the cake that the guy made.
Yeah, that was crazy.
There's no way they had one like frozen and they just brought it out.
No.
Come on, man.
His daughter nailed it. They were like, oh, no.
It's mayo.
Where is he? Where's the baker?
It's like that guy with like one eye patched up in the hospital and Usual Suspects, which I've been watching scenes from recently because it's been on Showtime. Kaiser Sose.
Exactly.
That's what they're screaming to each other. Kaiser Sose. All right, we're going to come back. Mike MacIntyre, and this is going to be great. Head football coach at FIU. You're saying, well, what is that, Defo? I mean, FIU football, they were 4-8 last year, but this guy inspired me. And I've seen a zillion of these. Have you not, Lubie? I mean, either on.
I remember. I'll never forget it. We have to. I'm like, okay.
Another inspirational coach, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Check that out at mile marker 104, Overseas Highway in Key Largo. We love the fact they are behind the show and have been for a long time. Dominic and Jimmy, a great job there. That's John's brother. Yes, it's all in the family. And just a fantastic place to go and relax. And if you want to watch the games over the weekend, got a couple of big conference championship games with the Bengals now favored, Lubie. Hey, why couldn't we get in? Like, I mean, it's 2008 all over again. I could have got in on the Bengals and gotten a 1.5. Now I have to give it away, right? And Mahomes late backdoor touchdown, 2-point conversion. They get within one. Well, like Andy Reid must have been betting the game. Anyway, you can check it out over the weekend at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You're going to love it. Absolutely a fantastic place to go and unwind, have something great to eat, a wide variety of stuff, including all of the great pizzas they make. We talk all the time about the Italian fishermen, but if you're just getting a regular cheese pie, man, it's great.
They do a great job.
Yeah. I mean, all the way through. Very thorough with that. And then, that's in addition to all of the fine stuff they have on the menu, which you could get the freshest of seafood. I think Jimmy's down there by the dock, like buying grouper right off a fisherman. How did you catch? Huh? You got some big ones? Good. We'll take the 2 Whoppers. And boom, they're on your plate, like fresh as a daisy. There's nothing like that, right? When you go down to the Keys and you get that fresh seafood that was just like caught that afternoon. Fantastic. So you're going to love all of the different offerings there in terms of food and drink. Atmosphere unparalleled. Great live music Saturday and Sunday all day long. And the sports bar is going to be rocking with the games on Sunday afternoon and evening at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, coming back with Mike MacIntyre. Looking very much forward to this in just a moment on the Defo Show. Now that
the time,
it's 8:36.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
People don't like being lied to. That's always the thing. With Pete Rose, if he had just said, of course I bet the Reds. What are you talking about? I had money on every game. We know you did, Pete. It's all right. I mean, now it'd be accepted. In fact, they would have it's only a matter of time before the manager of the two teams is asked who he likes in the game. All right, we're going down on the field there. We got Tony La Russa. Tony, what do you think tonight? White Sox minus 135? Well, we're going to go to the pen right away, and I'm going to make like 7 righty-lefty switches at inappropriate times, and I'm going to wear out my bullpen. In fact, all of these guys worked in the game last night, so I would think this.
I would take the points, take the runs, and take the price on the Boston Red Sox tonight to beat us. I would not lay 135 to win 100 on the Chicago White Sox. Okay, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Alex Cora. Cora, what do you got? Well, we got all our heavy hitters at the beginning of the lineup tonight, and they really pound this White Sox pitcher the last time he was out there. So I would think that we're a good bet, money line, straight up. When's that going to happen? I mean, that's going to be part of the pregame shows now.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubitz, South Florida Live. And we're getting set to hopefully be joined here by Mike MacIntyre, the head coach of FIU football. We've been looking forward to talking to Mike for some time. Lubie having a little trouble punching up the video here. Although, do we hear Mike MacIntyre? Mike, are you with us? All right. That so far is not connecting whatsoever. Might have to go to the phone call, Lubie, and, save this thing because, we had no luck with Caton Bredar either, although Dusty May on the telephone came off very well. Did we dwell too much on? Oh, okay, good. We're connected with Coach Mike Mack. There he is.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
There he is.
See, I'm already pumped with enthusiasm. I've been saying this for the last year or so that I watched your introductory press conference. I've been covering sports down here for over 40 years. I've seen the introduction of a zillion head coaches, different sports, very, illustrious ones and ones that didn't work out so well, both pros and college. And never in my lifetime, having heard the usual kind of coach speak that goes along with the introduction, was I ever as inspired as I was when I saw you introduced as a head coach at FIU. And I told Lubie, we're doing a radio show at the time, we have to get this man on the show. And so it's a pleasure to finally get to speak to you, Mike MacIntyre. And thanks so much for joining us here on the program.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm excited about being on here. And so it's exciting times here for us at FIU. We're right in the middle of recruiting. I'm going to get off of this and head on the road. So it's that time of the year.
All right, I mean, how would you characterize the first season here? Because we got familiar over the years. We always tried to, give some attention to FIU, even though the University of Miami was kind of the dominant team in town in terms of sports coverage. But, we were friends with Ron Turner. We got to be friends with him over the years. And, he had a tough time there. And then Butch Davis, you thought if it was going to work, Butch might be able to do it. He had a little rise of success. But, what are the things that you're facing in taking on this challenge, and then how would you characterize what kind of strides you were able to make last year?
Yeah, both those coaches you mentioned were excellent coaches. I'm excited about where we're headed. We're going into our 21st year of football, right? And there's only 50 years of the university, so everything's relatively new. We're excited about where we're headed, and the enthusiasm around here from our president Ken Jessel to our AD Scott Carr, we're all in line. I think that's something that I heard before I got here. There wasn't like a good in line there with everybody going in the same direction. We definitely are, and we're excited about what's happening here with our program. And we improved some last year from the previous couple years, and we looked to try to make another jump this year. Recruiting is going well. I know you always say that, but I can say that with all honesty. There's so many good players down here. We're able to get them. We might not get all the name guys you know about, but there's so many good guys down here playing that the athleticism and the it's in their DNA. That's my best way for me to explain it. They love football, and that's really important as far as being success in anything you do. If you love what you're doing and you got a little bit of talent, you're going to have a chance to be successful.
Well, you certainly bring that across. I mean, do you have a key in recruiting besides your genuine enthusiasm for the game, and obviously, your interest in the young men that you're recruiting as both football players and people? I mean, Bobby Bowden had the iron cast stomach, and he was able to eat anything. And when Mama brought out like the most atrocious piece of meatloaf he'd ever seen, he would go, "I'll have another slice, ma'am." Is there something to? I mean, how do you recruit today's kids? I mean, does that old school type of stuff still work?
The old school stuff does work. I mean, always being nice to Mama is key, no matter what. That's never going to change, I don't think. What's the old saying? If your wife's happy, everybody's happy. If Mama's happy, everybody's happy. That's still a true statement whatsoever in every stretch of the word of that. But one of the main things that we're looking for here, we want young men that want to be here, want to stay down in South Florida. There's some kids that want to get away, and we understand that. That's part of it. We want young men that football is important to them, and then definitely 100% want young men that want to graduate and want to make their lives better for themselves and for their families. And I'm seeing that all the time here. And then we really try to push the Miami area. And that's extremely important for us. And really like that.
Well, Coach, it's funny you talk about recruiting, and we've seen in the last 3 years or so, the transfer portal really just changed things.
Right.
We've seen it. Look, we've seen it with new coaches and new regimes. It really turned things around in this state. We've seen Mike Norvell really attack the portal, and in a way that other schools are starting to catch up to him. What are your thoughts on the portal, and how do you use the portal in your growth of FIU football?
Right. The portal is definitely an excellent tool to help your football program. There's no doubt about it. I think one of the luxuries of our area is there are so many good players down here that some of them that leave, they want to come back to South Florida. It's such a unique area. Of course, the weather is so different than anywhere else they go. If they grew up here their whole lives and they go up and, oh my goodness, it's 60 degrees and they're freezing. And wait a minute, that's a nice day in different times for some places they go. So the transfer portal has helped us getting young men to come back. I really look for Florida guys, really South Florida young men when they're coming back in. That's how I look at it. I feel like you have a better chance of getting young men that will be happy when they come back and the families can see them and they can do all those types of things that are important for them. So that's been something that we have used. And then also at the same time where we're sitting, we're able to get better high school football players than FIU was able to get a few years ago. Now, I wasn't here, but I just know the transfer portal, they're not signing as many high school kids. So there's young men sitting there that would have gone to other Power 5 guys that we were able to get. And they're excited about being here because they see a lot of their buddies not getting scholarships in the high school ranks. So I think on both sides of that, we are going to up our talent each. We did last year, we did this year, and we'll be able to keep doing that. And so in a couple of years here, I think we'll have a very talent rich team compared to our conference.
I told you could convince you. I mean, we're ready to line up and buy season tickets. That's absolutely great. Mike MacIntyre, our guest, he's a head coach at FIU and doing a great job. This was a homecoming. It sounds like you had the steps lined up. And this was also a homecoming for you, having grown up in Miami. So how much of an influence was that in your decision to come here?
Well, it was a big influence. My dad played at the University of Miami and then coached there. I was born there. We lived there for a while. Then we moved up to Tampa for a while. Then we moved up to Tennessee, to Nashville. But we always vacationed down here. All the places I was at recruiting wise, I would recruit down here a lot, especially when I was at Ole Miss and Duke and some different places in that. And then so it's always been a place that I knew all the ins and outs of everything in the coaching world. And it's a young man, the guy that's on our staff, Corey Bell, who was the youngest high school football coach, I believe, in Miami-Dade history when he was at Edison. I knew him back when I was recruiting back in the early 2000s down here. And so it's just, there's such a hotbed of players and connections. And our staff has done a phenomenal job of, we're just trying to absolutely encompass every high school in Broward and Dade County that we can over and over and over.
You've done this before, where you had to take a team that wasn't performing well. Your first head coaching job at San Jose State.
Right.
1-12 the first year. What kind of fan mail were you getting that first year?
Well, we didn't have many fans, so we didn't get a lot of fan mail. So we built it up, and when we left, they had a lot of fans, and now the program's thriving. Brent Brennan's coaching there, who was on my staff. So it was San Jose State was very similar to FIU in a lot of ways. It was a big metropolitan school and a lot of talent in the area. Not as much talent as there is here in this area, but there is a lot of talent in that area there. So it's a unique situation. They're very similar dynamics.
Well, and you go 1-12 your first year, and you're thinking, the odds of having success might be insurmountable. But 2 years later, you're 10-2.
Right.
So I mean, what can you take from that experience that's applicable here? I mean, it sounds like you have your principles very well in order, and you
it's
feel
very
success is
applicable
coming.
here. There's no doubt about it. Very similar. Some of the same situations that we walked into at San Jose, we walked in here too at FIU. But I think that the exciting thing here is the football is so important in this area of the country that I think that importance puts a little bit more added excitement within our football program and within young men that we're getting. So I'm excited about seeing that, and we are building it. It's a process. I know coaches always say that, but it's truly a process. And so we're building that and doing that, and feel like we're more talented now than we were last year at this time. And so I'm excited about seeing those young men keep working and keep improving.
Is Dion about to lose a little of his Q rating at Colorado? Is that an impossible place to win? You were there for several years also.
Yeah, I'm excited they're putting all that money into it. We went there. We went there, and we were the worst FBS program in America. And 4 years later, we're ninth in the country, and did a lot of great things. I had to raise money to hire coaches and pay them, and I had to raise money to get Vice's helmets there and all this stuff now. And they're throwing money everywhere, and I'm really excited for them to be able to do that. And because it's a neat place. There's a lot of great people there, and that you definitely can be able to win there, and them supporting it like they are now, which is awesome to see. They should. There's no doubt they should be successful the way they're supporting it. No doubt whatsoever.
Coach, we've seen it. And it used to be you get 5 years. It takes 5 years to turn the program around. And then it was 4, and now maybe 3. Like, as a coach, do you feel the pressure? No matter what the program is, it can be in Alabama, USC, FIU. USF, Jeff Scott I don't even know if he got 3 years. Do you guys feel the pressure? How does that change what you do when you come into a program? At San Jose State, I'm sure, hopefully you had a little bit more room to work. We've seen it even at FIU. It's not like you get that 5 years to bring in your recruits and bring in your kids. Like, how has it changed now getting into a program as opposed to maybe a decade or 2 decades ago?
Well, I think it's definitely changed. And, I think the extra scrutiny with Twitter and all the different things out there, there's more opinions out there more often, right? And a lot of the people making the opinions on Twitter that really don't know what they're talking about, correct? So your relationships that you have with your AD and your president, if they know every day if you're going in the right way. They know every day, they see what you're doing. They see what you're doing with the kids academically. They see what's going on in the weight room. They understand your recruiting. They understand different things on campus. There's a lot of dynamics that go into a college coach compared to a pro coach. It's not even close. And all the different things you deal with and work with. So that relationship is what gives you the ability to, they see the program moving in direction. And so hopefully that's, I feel that's definitely what's going on here. But at the same time, you're right. You want to keep making strides on the field, and we made strides on the field last year, and we want to make more improved strides this year. Correct. And, we have a saying, you're either getting better, you're getting worse. Nothing stays the same. So you just keep pushing. I just think there's extra voices out there. It's just the people in power need to listen to the correct voices. And if they listen to the correct voices and the correct voices say it's going in the right direction, fine. If the correct voices say it's not going in the right direction, then they make their decisions. And but you as a coach, you care about these young men. You work with them. You work with your staff. You set the plan and process. You keep putting the process. You keep elevating their expectations on a daily basis and in every form we do. And then you just love these kids and keep working.
I almost wish I had some eligibility left. I'd love to play for this guy. It'd be great. In your coaching career, you also had some time in the pros as an assistant. And I believe it was like 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys organization. So question one would be, is Jerry ever going to win one in his lifetime?
Well, I was 4 years with the Dallas Cowboys with Bill Parcells, coaching secondary there. Really enjoyed my time there. Mr. Jones was phenomenal. If you work for him, it's interesting. I really enjoyed working for him. Coach Parcells was incredible. Mr. Jones was awesome. We all know if you don't win enough games, they let you go. Coach Parcells did a great job there. We did a really good job. Our last game, Coach Parcells retired after Romo dropped the snap against Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I moved on to the New York Jets from there. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed my 5 years in the NFL. I could have stayed there in the NFL, but I wanted to coach college kids. I love mentoring them. I love working through different issues that teenagers that turning into men go through. And that's something that I enjoy on a daily basis. In the pros, you don't do that. It's just straight football. So I always looked at the pros like I got my PhD in coaching. And I couldn't learn from a better man and football coach than Bill Parcells there. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, the Tuna had it going on there for a little while with
Yes, he did.
A hybrid quarterback whose name escapes me. But, yeah, he didn't seem like the type of guy that was going to be a big winner in the pros.
No, he found Romo. Romo was he's the one that brought
Romo came from Eastern Illinois as a free agent. And the connection there is Bill liked him, but Sean Payton played at Eastern Illinois and really knew a lot about him. And so they convinced them to take him as a free agent, and they worked with him hard. A guy named David Lee, who worked with the Dolphins for a while as a quarterback coach, he was the work with quarterbacks there with Sean and really helped work Tony Romo into who he became. Worked on his release, and Tony worked at it hard. And so one of my jobs, my first couple of years, was I helped I was coaching secondary, but I would meet. Coach Parcells had small staffs, so I would meet with Romo some because he would have to play the scout type quarterback. He'd have to emulate different quarterbacks, and he was great. What a phenomenal athlete Tony Romo is, though. I don't know if everybody knows what type of athlete he is. You know, he started on the basketball team at Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
In college, and phenomenal golfer and everything. But yeah, that was a fun time, and I learned a tremendous amount of football that I still use to this day in developing players and developing quarterbacks and how we practice and different things from Coach Parcells.
I know you got to run on a recruiting effort, but two quick things. Was Joe Avisano the special teams coach when that
Joe was not there?
Oh, okay.
No, Joe was actually coaching the Dallas Arena team at that time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Back when they were going, and he was coaching that, and I would see Joe and the coaches with that Dallas Arena team would come over to our facility a lot. And Joe was a phenomenal special teams coach and just a great guy to talk to. A lot of charisma, a lot of character. I really liked being around Joe the little bit I was.
Yeah, he was always getting a lot of airtime on TV because he was such a, volatile type on the sidelines there, and he had the hair, and it was fantastic. It was a real rock star in terms of assistant coaches getting attention. Right. All right, and on the recruiting trip, is there a meal that stands out that you had? I mean, we get back to this Bobby Bond thing where you just said, you know what, I would recommend maybe you go to Ohio State. That you had to pull like an Anthony Bourdain on?
I went to one home, and I hadn't had a lot of like Haitian food.
Yeah.
And the mom made us all kind of unbelievable Haitian food, and I sat there and ate for an hour. It was incredible.
Good.
She was telling me the different names of everything, and so I got home and I was telling my wife, and so we just found a good Haitian restaurant to go to.
Good.
And so it was awesome.
I thought you were going to say there were like eyeballs sticking out and, things, animal parts that you probably weren't, inclined to want to taste. I mean, hey, a pleasure. And I hope we can do it again. It's fantastic having you on. Well, we've been, you've been a tougher get than Pat Riley or, somebody, real sports dignitaries here in town. And you're among them now. So we welcome you back to FIU. Glad to have you on the show, and we hope to talk to you throughout the season.
Thank you. I'd love to be on. I'd love to be anytime I can. I would love to be on with y'all, and really appreciate you having us on. And Paul's up.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Mike MacIntyre. I could go and play for that guy,
Yeah, he's great.
Interesting stories, too. Well, once we got him onto some of the other stuff. I mean, the coach speak is one thing, right? Which, look, everybody says the same sort of things when they're talking about building a program that has been on hard times. I mean, look, we went through some of this pain with a couple of guys that we got there. I knew Butch Davis for a long time, and I always had a lot of respect for Butch. And a guy that you're thinking this guy could convince you of anything, including that he could win at FIU, which he did for a short period of time. And then Ron Turner, who was, a real dedicated guy, right? I mean, was he Lombardi? I don't think so. Was he a guy that at that level of football should have had some success?
I mean, his resume
What's that?
His resume was sick. His resume was great.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize MacIntyre's resume, like these guys, he's with the Jets. He's with the Cowboys. He was at Ole Miss. He's at Memphis. He's
Coach with Parcells, yeah. I mean, you're no schmink if you're on Parcells' staff. You think he's taking some guy that's goofing off? No. And I greatly respect him. I mean, he had a shot, to say something, well, Colorado, good luck there, Dion. But, he was nothing but enthusiastic for the program, which he did. He was a head coach for a while. But obviously, at some point in time, they said, sayonara. And that was that. All right. That was a lot of fun, Lubie. I think we accomplished a lot there. I mean, we had some technical difficulties with Caton Bredar. That was unfortunate, but we did get the point across. Pegasus coming up. We'll have Caton. What? I mean, I'm sure we'll run into her on Friday.
She'll be there. She's going to be at Gulfstream Friday doing her thing with FanDuel TV. So
I think Mayo ought to let her taste some of the food there. She's not obligated to do television at the time, no? What do you think?
They give us enough. They take really good care of us. So
yeah, but let her have the first bite.
Oh, yes.
So it doesn't get slimed by Mayo before, anybody gets a chance to, dive in. And that may happen later on today. Even Kill Fish Shack, that's A1A in commercial. Lauderdale by the Sea, great spot. We'll be out there from 12 to 1 with the lunchbox. Thanks, people, for tuning in. And thanks to Mike MacIntyre, Dusty May, and the lovely Caton Bredar for joining us here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have a lot of stuff going on. Wow.
Now tomorrow, we got some trivia challenge action. Gergs is in. We have our man, Coach Larry Nagel, just dismantled Mike Knowles.
Oh, my God.
One and only, lovely and talented.
Oh, wow.
Be making a return engagement. She's been traveling the freaking world. So finally, she has some time for us. And we'll
beautiful.
have her back on the show.
All right, so that's a monster show coming up tomorrow, and then a Degenerate Friday show on Friday with all of our handicappers. Don't sleep on Iowa State. That was Brandon Lang's message if you're betting college basketball. All right, see you later on this afternoon as we leave you now that.
The time.
Thanks, Johnny. It's 9 o'clock.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.